Hello, welcome back. So last video we addressed the sales budget. We said it's important because it drives all the subsequent budgets. Now we're going to talk about the next budget in the process, which is the production budget. A production budget is for a manufacturing company. If it was a merchandising company, remember those from Accounting 1A? A company that sells goods that are already complete, whereas a manufacturer makes goods from raw materials. So if it's a merchandising company, they call it a purchases budget instead of a production budget. Your book, as 1B in general, just focuses on manufacturers, so we will discuss a production budget. But no, it could be modified if the company instead was a merchandiser. And what if they were a service company, you ask? If they were a service company, they would have neither, and it would just go right to their S&A budget, right? Because that's the only type of costs that they have, are just those operating costs if it was a service company. All right, but we'll assume we have a manufacturer. We've already completed the sales budget, so we go on to the next budget, the production budget. Alrighty. Production budget. So the production budget tells us, it shows the units needed to be produced to meet the expected sales. Which is why the sales budget has to come first. Based on that sales, it drives everything else, right? This is how many units we expect to sell. Therefore, we need to produce that many units, right? So the production budget shows you that. Something to remember about the production budget, it's only expressed in units, so you're not going to see any dollar signs on here. That's a common mistake, is that students want to put dollar signs on there. It's a unit-only budget. What else? That's why it's important for sales budget to be as accurate as possible. Because if it's not, it's going to lead to problems in production, right? If sales is overly optimistic, right? If their research says they're only going to sell 100,000 units, but they, for whatever reason, are optimistic that they could sell 200,000 units, then we're going to produce 200,000 units. And if we don't have a venue to sell those, it's going to lead to overproduction, and overproduction has a lot of costs associated with it, right? So we want to make sure that sales budget's as accurate as possible, because it's going to drive how much we're producing, how much we're paying our laborers, how much materials we're ordering. So it's going to have a lot of repercussions for the company, which is why we stress when we get that sales estimate from the sales department that it is a true picture of what they think will happen. We know it's still an estimate, but we want it to be the best estimate they have to put forward for us. All right, so that's some information about the production budget. Let's talk about the format. We're going to have a 3-line header again. It'll be very similar to the sales budget. Production budget. Oh, I forgot the company name. Holy cow. Company name. Shh. Don't judge me. It's early today. All right, company name, production budget, and then for the year ended, we'll say December 31st, 2020. Okay. Alrighty, so there's our header. Now the format for this one's a little different than we're used to. It's still by quarters, so let's do Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, and then total. So those are your columns, and those columns mirror what we saw in the sales budget, if you remember from our last one. And now the first row is going to be our expected sales. Expected sales. And again, everything on here is in units. So just a reminder, your expected sales in units. Now, where are you going to get that information? From the sales budget. Your first line on the sales budget was expected sales. So just go ahead and pull that information forward to your production budget. All right, after that comes your desired, the company's desired ending inventory. Ending inventory. A lot of times managers will refer to this as safety stock. Basically, this is what they expect to sell, but they want to have a little excess, a little cushion in case they sell more, right? They don't want to turn customers away and say, sorry, we don't have any units left for you, because you might lose those customers for good, right? So you want to have a little bit of a cushion. And so that's going to be set for you in the problem. It'll say management wants 100 units of desired ending inventory for every quarter. Or they'll usually state it as a percentage. They'll say management wants 10% of Q2's sales as ending inventory. Don't worry, we'll walk through a problem with some data in a minute. Right now we'll just focus on our format. So the first row is expected sales, which we pull from the sales budget. And so maybe I'll write that in purple. Expected sales, pull from sales budget. Sales budget. Desired inventory, usually you have to calculate. Calculation. So in purple, it's just letting you know tips for getting these amounts. Alrighty. Then we're going to do a subtotal. We're going to add the two of these together. So add expected sales plus your desired ending inventory, and that gives you total required units. Total required units. This is how many units the company needs to have on hand to meet sales and meet management's desired cushion. Okay, so you're just adding there. So this is the sum of the two. Sum of two of two. Okay. Next comes a subtraction. We're going to subtract any beginning inventory. Because if we already have it on hand, right, if we have some inventory left over from Q4 of last year, 2019, we don't have to make it. Because we have it left over, we want to use that up. So you will subtract any beginning inventory. Where are you going to get the beginning inventory? Sometimes it will be given, or you might have to calculate, or bring forward. Okay, like I said, we'll work through a problem in a second. It just depends on how the problem is worded. All right, another subtotal. So once we have what we need for the period minus what we already have on hand, that tells you how many you need to produce. So that gives us required production. Required production. Again, all in units. And this is the difference of the two above. Okay. So there's what a production budget is, some characteristics about it, and then our format, including where we get all of these line items. So let's go ahead and put some numbers to it. So download the data set that I have in this module. It's for Outdoorsy Company. And we'll go ahead and prepare a sales budget and a production budget based on that company's data. All right, I'll see you in the next one.